I love my life, and it's been very interesting. And I like the fact that I'm able to post content about topics that are going on in society and topics that are being discussed on social media and in the news and in, articles and books. And I love that I can not only bring research and statistics and popular attitudes about things, but I can bring a lot of life experience because I've actually lived in a lot of different ways. I have been a non Christian, I've been a very devout Christian, I've been a pagan. I've been a virgin into college, got married, and then got divorced and dated quite a lot. I've had a friend with benefits. I've done a situationship. I've even done polyamory. I've been married again and my spouse passed away. And, when you go through all of these different things, you get to see how society views different people, different statuses. I dated interracially. I got to see what that was like and how society treated me at that time. But, being a single mom for a period, I felt that. I felt how society makes certain judgments about single women, um, how society makes certain judgments about divorced women, and how society can treat women who are widows or they feel are widows very differently than either group. So I can talk about and share my experience with, you know, um, having children, having twins, being kind of in a sense a married single mom to being a real single mom, where you're divorced and you don't have somebody helping you in the house, you don't have anybody living with you, to my kids growing up and being an empty nester, um, to being kind of part of that gray divorce where you get divorced after your spouse, after your kids leave home, after you're, in your middle age part of life. I can talk about menopause. I can talk about, all the changes in dating and marriage philosophy and how things have changed from one generation to the next. Because I come from a very long line of married women, I can tell you my grandmother's, viewpoint about it, my great grandmother's, my mom's, and my own, because we talked about all these things. So I can share their perspectives on it and my perspectives on their views and how that's changed over time. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've been a working mother. I've been um, a sole earner where I was the one who was earning, and my husband for a time was a house husband. I have lived a lot of different scenarios. So, when I talk about certain things, I don't necessarily talk from theory. A lot of times I talk from research and I also talk from personal experience because it's one thing to think what you think these things would be like. It's a whole nother thing to live them and to feel the feelings that come along with it, to get the judgments that people make about you and the assumptions that people make about you and the statements that people feel bold enough to tell you. And even now, one thing I love about making content is you get to see how many assumptions people make because there are many men who will assume that I haven't had any of these experiences, that I've never been married, that I've never had kids, that I've never been engaged. I've been engaged 4 times, that, I've never been a stay-at-home mom. I've done that. They will make these assumptions that I don't have these experiences, and I do. I absolutely do. So when they're making these assumptions about who I am and who I'm not, often, again, like I said, they're very far off because I know that I am kind of, in a sense, an anomaly. I know that when I tell people that I've done all these different things in my 55 years, it's kind of mind boggling because probably the average person has not tried out so many different lifestyles, so many different paths. And that's one reason why I think that the books that I've written, Plenty of Guppies and Other Dating Misadventures, Plenty of Guppies, The Perfect Storm, my guided journals, my planner, my children's book, I think that that's why they resonate with so many people, because I do share what it is like from a very vulnerable place to go in all these different paths and define myself in different ways and to see myself in different ways, because different experiences bring out different roles. They bring out different insights. They bring out different perceptions. They change you, they mold you and shape you, and you develop, and your horizons can expand. And so, I just thought I would throw that out there, because life is a lot of times about change. It's about growth. It's about exploration and taking risks, excuse me. And we're in this 2026, this new year, where we do have new opportunities and new challenges. But, one thing that I've learned is that you don't always know how you're going to get through something, whether it's tragedy, whether it's divorce, whether it's being a single mom, financial difficulties, health difficulties. You don't always know how you're going to get through things, but you don't have to know. One thing that you can do is just take the step in front of you and believe that everything is going to work out, because 9 times out of 10, it does. And for those that are positive and for those that are proactive and really trying to make the best choices they can, a lot of times it's an upward ascension. It's a evolution. It's progress, and you're not moving backwards, even though sometimes it may look like you are. You're just taking sometimes one step backward to slingshot forward. And so I think that that's very encouraging. And if you haven't checked out my books, please check them out on Amazon. Zenashe, Zenase. That's 2 words. You can find my books on Amazon. They're free on Kindle Unlimited. You can also check out my podcast, Zenergy, Zennurgy. I talk about self-actualization, self-development, self-exploration, and all the tools that we can use to do those 3 things, to find more zen in life, more peace in life, to find more fulfillment in life. I believe that people have the urge for peace, but they don't want to lose themselves in the process. And so that's what Zenergy is about. May you walk in Zenergy. I love my life.